Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Hello, how are you? I'm fine, thank you. How are you, teacher?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay,
What about the rest of you, Ariel? How are you?
Fine.
Fine,
I'm drinking
great.
mate.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah, I'm trying to drink water here. Maca, how are you? Maca, Macarena, can you hear me? How are you? If your audio is not working, try turning it off and then on again. Sometimes that works, okay?
okay.
Carol, how are you?
Hello, I'm fine. And you?
Fine, thank you. Mayra?
Hello, how are you?
Fine, how are you?
Fine, fine.
Great. Nico?
I miss. I finally arrived on time this time.
Good, good. How are you?
Fine, fine, fine.
Great. Maca? Let's see if we can hear you now. No. Okay. Because in the first part of the class, we are going to check doubts on the homework you had on the grammar book. So, Maca, if you have any doubts, write in the chat, okay? Write in the chat so you can also clear your doubts. The idea for our class today is, first of all, try to check doubts on the homework that you had on the 2 units from the grammar book. Then we are going to do a brainstorming activity together, because I don't know if you already checked today's class, but for next class you have to do some writing, yeah? And good, yes. And then if we have time, we're going to do some paraphrase together, okay? But first of all, I want to know if you have doubts on the homework. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the screen so we can all see the grammar book. Okay? Just a second. Here. Yes, I'm sorry that last time I had made a mistake as regards the numbers of the units. Yes, then I corrected it. I hope you saw it in time. Okay. Great. Someone else is joining us. Great. So for today you had to work on units. Wait a second. Yes, the good news, I wanted to show you this. The good news about the grammar book is that we have already done like the most important units, yes? That sometimes, I mean, you know that this thing about virtual classes has advantages and disadvantages. Of course, in a lot of ways, it's a lot better to do it face-to-face. But it also happens face-to-face that we get interrupted, that we don't have, usually what happens to this course is that we don't have a good classroom because all the classrooms are taken and we work in a very small room. Well, we start later because of a lot of things, and usually it happens that we fall behind with the syllabus. And in this case, we have been able to cover already the most important units of the book. We are going to try to finish all the grammar book. Yes, but you should know, and I wanted to show you with the contents, that we have already covered the most important ones. Tenses, of course, yes, the first unit up to the consolidation. Yeah, that's fundamental. Second to that, we have conditionals and passive voice. Conditionals is related to wishes and related forms, yes? Remember the use of the simple past, for example, to talk about the present in unreal situations, that kind of thing. So, indirect speech, passive voice, and conditionals, This is also fundamental. And then modal verbs and relative clauses. Those are like the topics that we had to cover, yes or yes. Why am I saying that? Because we are going to be trying to cover all the book right now, but parallel to that, if you found some of the units that I mentioned especially difficult, you should try to review and reread. We are almost in November now, okay? So we are close to finishing the year. And you know that there will be an exam, yes, as I explained to you on a previous meeting. In this exam, the idea is to evaluate if the level that you have is the level that you need to have to be able to attend first year in a comfortable way, like being able to understand the classes in English and to do your homework in English, yes? So if you have difficulties in any of the units that I mentioned, part of your time should be devoted to working on them again. Rereading, redoing the exercises, even asking for extra practice if you need that. Then the other units.
Miss, can I ask you a
Yes,
question?
yes, of course.
Could you please repeat the fundamental units? You said tenses, then conditionals.
Yes. Wait a second, here we go again. I want to show you the table of contents. Yes, all the units on tenses, so units 1 to 5, where you have present tenses, past tenses, present perfect, future time, and consolidation, okay, the first 5 units. Then indirect speech, conditionals, passive voice, okay. Wishes and related forms is related to conditional, so it was also very important. And unit 10, that was the consolidation number 2. Then we have relative clauses,
Okay.
Relative clauses, and then we have units 16 and 17 on modal verbs.
Okay.
Those are the fundamental units.
Okay, thank you.
The units that you had to work on for today are important, and also they can be helpful for the writing and the speaking parts, because, for example, the what about articles is something that people tend to make mistakes in, okay? But it's not related to how you make the sentence, which is usually like the first thing that we have to cover. And I don't know if you checked in the class today that for next class you have to work on prepositions and linking words, which of course will be helpful, okay? But this is also why for many classes now I have been giving you either paraphrase sentences or closed texts, because there you have to put all the concepts together into practice. Yes, because in the exam you're not going to have like one exercise on passive, one exercise on indirect speech. No, it's all combined in paraphrase activities, closed texts, okay? And in the writing, and this is something that I want to say before we start working on these units that we had to work on for today, this time you had to do a writing that is a little longer, 150 words. As I wrote there, please remember not to write this as an attachment. Don't send it as an attachment, because for me it's a lot more complicated to correct it, okay? So if for you it's more comfortable to do it in Google Docs, well, do it in Google Docs, but then cut it and paste it in the assignment. And then when you do write it, don't just write it and send it. Make sure to reread it and pay attention to tenses. This is very important. I chose a topic in which yes or yes, you have to use past tenses. In the topic that I wrote, yes, in the sentence that I wrote, you have simple past and past perfect, okay? So pay a lot of attention to tenses. The story that you write has to be consistent with that. So when you finish writing, go back and check especially the verbs to make sure that the sequence of the actions that you mentioned is clear and yes, let's say that has common sense, okay? Second,
Okay.
pay attention to punctuation. Remember what we mentioned on the first writings, because you tend to abuse the use of commas. You write commas everywhere. Maybe you have like 150 words, and in the 150 words, there's only one stop. You write comma, comma, comma. And the thing is, you have a subject and you have a verb. Yes, you have a simple sentence. And then you have another subject and another verb. Remember that these two subjects and verbs cannot be connected only with a comma. The three options that you have are stop, you write a stop and then you write a new sentence. you write a semicolon. Remember, the semicolon is the punto y coma, yes? Or you can write a connector. So, as a consequence, of any linker, and, or, but a linker, not just a comma. If you have
Okay.
one sentence of 5 lines, that is probably not correct. It's very difficult, and it's not very English-like to write such long sentences. In English, it's preferable to have shorter sentences, because in that case, there is no possible ambiguity, okay? And you are less likely to make mistakes in the structure of the sentences. So I insist, when you finish writing, don't just send it. Before you send it, go back and correct. First, correct the verbs. You reread, paying attention only to the verbs, and then you reread again, paying attention to the punctuation. Okay?
Okay.
Good. I remember that in the last writings, for example, as regards punctuation, there are people who have the tendency not to use capital letters. Like, okay, in formal writing, yes, formal writing, you have to write capital letters. For example, I, the letter I, that means, yes, I, is always written in capital letters. Okay, I know that in texting with your friends, you can use a more informal style, but that is not appropriate for this context that is academic.
Perfect.
Okay, in one of the next few classes, we are going to review some punctuation rules, okay? But at this point, pay attention to the 2 things I mentioned, not to overuse commas and the use of capital letters. Okay, remember
Perfect.
that this editing part is an important part of the writing process. And in the exam, you are not going to be asked to write a very long piece. You're going to be asked to write something short. So the idea is that you have time to write and you have time to correct yourselves. Okay.
Okay.
So for today, you had to work on units 21 and 22. Well, 21, I don't think it's very problematic. Maybe there are a few words. For example, I have found in the writings mistakes usually with the word advice. This is one of the problematic ones. You say, I gave my friend an advice, and this is a direct translation from Spanish.
Excuse me, miss.
Yes.
We have to write anything we want.
Sorry?
We have to
for the
write
homework,
anything we want with the subtitle.
with the title that I gave you? Yes,
That
anything
you
that
give.
matches the title.
Yes.
Yes, anything that matches that title. You have to, it's not the title, it's the opening sentence. That's how your story begins. And then you continue in any way that makes sense with that sentence.
It's like an idea.
It's the beginning of the sentence, of the story. You have to write something that is connected to that. That is how you start. You all have to start with that and then write 150 more words. One piece of advice, Rocio, and everyone about this is remember to write simple stories. This is not a literary course where you have to show that you're a very original and creative person. Because sometimes one wants to show like something very, wow, you want to surprise someone with the contents of the story. Here, we are just evaluating English and that you can write something that the other person can understand. And in 150 words, if you want to say something too complicated, it is usually problematic because then it's too difficult to transmit the idea and the reader cannot understand, and that is a problem. So here, try to keep your story simple. Yes? It's not important to think of a very original story. You can write something very simple. Just pay attention to the language. First of all, the grammar and the structure of the sentences, and if you have time to think of like fancier words, well, that's even better. Maybe when you're writing, you want to say that, I don't know, Tom was a nice person, and then you say, when you finish writing, you say nice. I can do better than nice, right? I can think of a better word, yeah? But the idea is that when you're writing, just write the story, and then when you go back, you try to make it better also from the point of view of vocabulary. Okay? So before we check units 21 and 22, any other questions on the writing task?
No.
Not on the
No.
right?
No, no.
Okay, good. What about unit 21? Let me go there. Yes, 21 about countables and uncountables. As I was saying about countables and uncountables, I don't think it's a difficult topic. Yes, it is a topic, I mean, which maybe what you should do is to make a list with some words that you may have found surprising, like, as I was saying, advice, furniture, words that maybe you didn't know that were uncountable, so you cannot use the singular form, like an advice or a furniture, these kind of words. The word news, okay? This is also very important. I think that this unit is very important for when you are writing or speaking to pay a lot of attention to the verb, because uncountable nouns.
I couldn't.
Yes, tell me.
Teacher, I couldn't do it from point 4, letter B and J.
Okay, now we go there. Yes. As I was saying, uncountable nouns are always singular. Yes. So pay a lot of attention to subject-verb agreement. So
Okay.
let me put on my glasses. Exercise. We are talking about unit 21, right?
Yeah. 4, number 4.
Exercise 4. Yes. Which letters here?
B and J.
Okay. B is the one I just mentioned. Take my advice.
Okay.
Take my advice. Don't go out alone after dark. Yes.
Yeah.
And J, if you can't undo the knot, cut the string with some.
Help.
With some what? Look at me. If you cannot, scissors.
Scissors.
Yes, very good.
Okay.
Again, you cannot say a scissors. You know that scissors, like pants or any of these things that are made up of two equal parts, shorts, pants, jeans, scissors, yes, they are made of two equivalent parts, then you cannot use the word a, because it's always a pair of or some, a pair of scissors or some scissors. Again, this is different from Spanish, because in Spanish you say una tijera, un pantalón, but in English this is different. So when I was referring to this unit, this is what I was saying, that maybe your summary of this unit should be the words that called your attention, that were unexpected, that you said, oh, I didn't know this about the word scissors, I never thought about it, or advice, or news. These words, here what we have to pay attention to is that there are several words that behave differently from Spanish. So if we don't know the word, we might make a mistake if we do a translation from Spanish. Clear, Ariel?
Yes, thank you.
Great. Okay, what else on this unit?
Teacher,
Yes, Mika, yes.
I have, for example, in exercise 3E, I choose, for example, parking, and it is car park, and maybe what is the difference? The action, for example, parking is the action and car park is the place.
Exactly. Perfect.
Oh, yes, okay.
You do have the word parking lot. You have the word parking lot, but not just parking. It's car park or parking lot.
A parking lot.
Okay?
Okay. Okay.
Only parking is the action.
Exactly. Yes, Mika
Yes.
said that. Exactly. Very good.
Yes, I was thinking that. Now I realized that. I noticed that.
Yes, but the thing is
And
that
in
you
exercise D,
yes, as you have the terminology parking lot, and
Yes.
informally, you might have heard in a series or in a movie that they call it parking. This is why maybe it sounded a little
Yes.
confusing. But the correct term is car park or parking lot. And as you said, parking is the action. Yes.
okay. And in exercise D, I choose, for example, bread, but it is loaf. But loaf, isn't it barra, for example?
Okay, but here there is one word that tells you that you cannot choose bread. It says, don't forget to buy a, blah, 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 a. The word a, this article tells you that you are speaking of something that you can count and that is one. And bread, you cannot count. Again,
Now yes,
again,
and loaf.
A slice of bread.
So they say loaf of bread.
Exactly.
When we want to talk about countable, no?
Exactly, exactly. Again, in Spanish we say un pan. Yes.
Yes.
But in English,
Our
exactly.
Spanish is horrible.
No, again, informally it's one thing, but even in Spanish, when you go to the bakers, yes, if you say, dame un pan, in general you say un Felipe, and you use a terminology depending on the type of word. Yes, that would be the different equivalents to loaf. Okay. Any other doubt here or in this unit?
Thank you, teacher.
No problem. Remember that as
A slice
yes,
of bread.
a slice of bread, yes. You can say a slice of bread or a loaf of bread. But in the one that Mika read, the two options were bread or loaf. The word sliced was already given.
Yes.
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 Teacher.
Yes. Remember, I'm sharing. Sorry. Yes. Remember, I'm sharing screen, so I cannot see all of you. Tell me who's talking. Ah, Mayra, you spoke.
Mayra. Yes.
Good. Good. Now
in exercise 6.
Yes.
Letter 8. I don't understand the meaning of I'd like some China. I don't understand.
What sentence?
Exercise 6, letter H.
China is, you know, the word in Spanish, like, left my brain in this moment, sorry. But China is when, you know, when you want to buy things for your house and the little cups and the little dishes, all those things.
Okay.
Yes. It's like,
now I understand.
It's not exactly porcelana, but it's something of the sort.
Okay.
Vajilla china, una cosa así, ¿no?
¿De what?
Tipo la vajilla china, el delicatessen que uno tiene para servir el café.
Exactly, exactly. I was trying to think because in Spanish there's also something related to China in that. There.
La porcelana, claro.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other doubts in this unit? Remember, I cannot see all of you, so you can speak and say your name and say your doubt, because I don't see all of you because I'm sharing screen. Nothing else in this unit?
Yes, teacher, I have got another doubt.
Okay, who's talking, Mika?
Yes, me.
Yes, tell me.
In exercise 7, letter D, for example, the correct answer is was a lot of traffic, but why there was with a lot of?
A lot of is used with both countables and uncountables. The thing is, in the original, you are talking of
goes with there were or there was.
Exactly.
Is it the same?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. A lot of.
I didn't know that.
Yes. A lot of continues. This is very important because remember when you say like much, many, little, few,
yes.
There you have like for uncountables and for countables, but a lot of is for both. So here what you have to pay
Okay.
attention to is the noun. In the original sentence, it says cars, so you have to use the verb in the plural. Traffic is singular and uncountable. That's why in the second one is there was.
Okay.
Yes? Very good.
Nice.
Any other doubt in this unit?
No.
No?
No.
Maka,
No, teacher.
Maka, you're doing fine?
Yes,
Ah, good, now we can hear you.
yes, but I changed my.
Device?
I was connected from the computer, but then I connected from with the cell phone because the microphone doesn't
Doesn't work.
work very.
Ah, fantastic, fantastic. Great. Okay, so if there are no more doubts on Unit 21, let's move on to Unit 22 to see if there are any doubts there.
Yes, teacher.
Yes.
I have that.
That's perfect.
In exercise, in exercise 2, J, for example, the correct answer is the 1,000 pounds. And I want to know why the 1,000 and not 1,000 pounds.
Read the end of the sentence.
Here is a or the 1,000 pounds I owe you.
It's not any 1,000 pounds. It's the 1,000 pounds that I owe you. It's not any 1,000 pounds. This is, remember, this is like relative clauses. Remember, like defining and non-defining. Here I'm not talking about a non-specific amount of money. I'm talking about the money that I owe you.
It's like saying, estos son los.
Exactly.
Estos son los 100.
Exactly. Exactly. Very good. Very good. Here the parallel with Spanish helps. If I just gave you money just because, it would be, oh, here is 1,000 pounds. But as if it's not any 1,000 pounds, but the one that I owe you, it's the. Remember that that's the difference between a and the. A is indefinite, the is definite. So if both people know what we are talking about, because it's definite, then it's the.
Okay, now.
Exercise 6, letter F. I couldn't do it.
Letter F. If you drive faster, it is more dangerous. The faster
Yes.
you drive, the more dangerous it is. The faster you drive, this might appear in some units on comparatives. This is I don't remember the name of the type of construction, but you say, for example, the shortest example of this is when you say the more, the merrier. You know, when, I don't know, you are organizing a party and someone says, oh, can I come?
Yes.
Oh, yes, the more, the merrier, like the more, the better. Yes, you use two parts of the sentence in comparative connected with a comma. And in this case, it's correct. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
So you have two parts, both in comparative, and it's always the. The more, the better. The more, the merrier. The faster, yes, the faster, the more dangerous. The faster you drive, the more dangerous it is. The more that you practice, the better prepared you will be for the exam.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Again, if this structure is new to you, this one you should highlight. Because yes, it's not so common, but at the same time, it is typical of English. Okay?
Okay.
Very good. Any other doubt in this unit?
Yes, teacher, in exercise 4,
Okay.
I don't know if we had to put our own opinions, because then when I corrected the answers, it said suggested answers. So maybe I think that it is about my opinion, maybe.
Yes, I mean, there are some that are not very reasonable, but in many cases, I mean, what you think that people say that it's a good idea, or what you don't agree with, yes, it's quite personal.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. The idea with this unit is to pay attention with this exercise is to pay attention to how the articles are used. Yes, like a good job is an important part of life. The Tower of London. It's just to have more exposure to those to the use of the articles. Only that. Okay.
Okay.
Any other doubts in this unit?
No.
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 No, okay. Good. Okay, great. Now, then, we are going to move on to, sorry, if after we have finished our meeting, you realize that you have doubts in one of the units and you forgot to ask, you can send a message, yes? And if I see that what you wanted to ask is something that most people would be interested in, we open a forum, or otherwise I just answer in private, yes? But if maybe later you remember about the doubt, you can ask me. Well, the idea today was first of all to check the doubts on the units. Now I'm going to play some music, okay? And what I would like you to do is, if you have a piece of paper and a pencil, yes, or a pen, to try to write down the feelings or ideas that come to your mind as you are listening to this music. I'm going to put play.
Teacher.
Yes.
How I feel when I listen to that music.
How you feel, what you think, anything that comes to your mind.
Teacher, are you recording the class?
Yes, I am. Why?
To see after.
Okay. Yes, I am. Okay, so I'm going to play and then I'm going to change the screen because I don't want you to look at the video. I just want you to listen to the music, okay?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Teacher, I didn't notice that the last video, my dog was barking, so I'm so sorry for that moment.
Okay, don't worry.
The dog that was barking was my dog.
Well,
and I didn't notice that he was barking a lot.
Well, it could have been mine, you know. My dog barks a lot too, so don't worry. These things happen to all of us. Okay. So, are you ready?
Yes.
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 Just a second. Wait, I will turn off my camera because I think that... Wait a second. This can happen. Wait. Well. Wait a second, I will try again, yes?
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to stop the video and now share the screen. sorry for the technical difficulties. Yes. The idea is the following. One of the most effective brainstorming techniques is music, usually music without lyrics. Mozart is a classic, yes? In fact, if you look up later in YouTube videos and you find like music for brainstorming, you have all kinds of music depending on what you want to brainstorm ideas for. But if it's brainstorming for writing, classical music is also used a lot. There is also, for example, Vivaldi's seasons. Yes, Vivaldi's seasons. Spring, for example, where you have like, again, a very powerful melody. Well, these melodies are often used to do this. You have to write a story and you don't know where to start. And you play music like this, and either you feel not in this way that with technology failing, it's very difficult to forget about the outside world. The idea is to play the music and forget about everything, get carried away with the music and connect with your feelings. And I don't know, you feel happy about something and you feel angry about something, and all these feelings, then you can connect into the story and they help you to think of what you can write about. Okay? There are different brainstorming techniques. You can use pictures, you can use music, okay, relating to your own experiences. The idea is to start experimenting with them, okay? So maybe the experience now was not so successful because of the connection, but when you're going to the writing homework, you can say, well, I don't know, let's go with Vivaldi's seasons, with the spring. I'm going to play this in the background, that I'm going to forget about everything and just write. Then I will try to give it shape. But at the beginning, remember, in the brainstorming part, all you have to do is to accept everything that comes to your mind. And then when you start writing, you give it shape, you say, no, this is not useful for the story, etc. Okay? Well, as usual, it's been a pleasure. If you have any doubts, you can write to me, okay?
Okay.
Keep up the hard work, that you're doing great, yes? Keep up the hard work, come on.